Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video, we're going to talk the Headsman's Curse, and we're going to talk about them for Warhammer Age of Sigmar Warcry. In White Dwarf issue 492, we have the rules for all of the 4-word hollow warbands. So that is the Headsman's Curse, Ephelem's Pandemonium, Domitan's Stormcommon, and Skabbik's Plague Pack. All the rules are in there, so if you want to go have a look at them and have a copy of them for yourself, you can go grab that. Now, we are going to talk about the Headsman's Curse here specifically today. We're going to look at some of the generic rules they have from the Nighthaunt, as well as their own special abilities as well. It is worth noting that there's some interesting ways you can include these as allies for your other warbands. When they have the Headsman's Curse rune mark, will always have the Nighthaunt rune mark, so it can be included in a Nighthaunt warband without anything special needing to be done. But if you want to include them as allies for something, you actually only need to include the Bearer of the Sword as your warband. He takes up the ally slot, and you can take all the rest of the pieces of the Headsman's Curse for free. Now, if you wanted to include any of the others, you can't do that as allies because they don't actually have the hero keyword. So just something to consider if you're maybe wanting to bring these into something like Soulblight Gravelords or Flesh Eater Courts, etc. But let's talk about their generic abilities first before we move on to the War Scrolls. Now, we have the reaction Flickering Form. This is the Nighthaunt reaction, where they can make this reaction when an enemy fighter finishes a move action within 3 inches of them. Note the distance between this fighter and the enemy fighter that made the move. Remove this fighter from the battlefield and set this fighter up on a platform or battlefield floor no further than to the enemy fighter that made the move action. Pretty cool ability, depending on sort of how you play and what your tables are. It can also draw your opponent maybe away or around. It's got some interesting bits and pieces it can do. It's nice. It can also give you some extra movement if you're maybe just going to fly over your opponent. So, interesting. Aura of the Dread for a double is pick a visible enemy fighter with a number of inches equal to the value. Till the end of the battle range, subtract one from the strength of attack actions made by them, and you can only target a fighter once with this ability per battle round. And then we've got the triple for Spectral Summons, being able to bring back our friends. Of course, this is with the leader rune mark, so only our warband leader here can use this. Now, we do have 2 doubles that are available to everyone in the Headsman's Curse warband here. Swift Judgment is a double. They can make a bonus move action up to a number of inches equal to the value of the ability, but must finish closer to the closest visible enemy fighter than they were at the start of the move action. And Hold Them Still as well. Pick a visible enemy and fighter within 1 inch. The fighter cannot make disengage actions until the end of the battle round. In addition, subtract the value of his ability from that fighter's move characteristic until the end of the battle round to a minimum of 0. So pretty cool. Like, you can even stop them being able to move around in combat. Solid abilities all around for the Headsman's Curse. Today's video is brought to you by Gap Games, a fantastic retailer in Australia for a variety of different miniature war games. If you'd like to help support the channel, we have an affiliate link where by clicking on and purchasing, you'll help support the channel, but you'll also help support Gap Games, which is a fantastic servant to the community. And so, looking at the first of our fighters, we have the Wielder of the Blade. 20 wounds, defense 4, movement 6, obviously with the fly rune mark because he's a ghosty boy. 175 renowned, I think is solid for a leader. He does have a pretty good attack profile, though low attacks. So 1 inch range, 2 attacks, strength 5, 3/6 on the damage. This is very reminiscent of his Underworlds fighter card that has, this really powerful attack in Underworlds, but is so few of them getting attacked. Now, we do have a quad available to the fighter. So, on top of the fact he is going to be able to spectral summon, so he's only going to be able to bring back friends, he is going to be able to use the quad for the court sentence you to death. The fighter makes a bonus move action. You add X to the attack's characteristic of the next melee attack action made by this fighter in this activation, and add X to the damage points allocated to enemy fighters by each critical hit. From the next attack action, where X is the number of friendly fighters with the Headsman's Curse rune mark within 3 inch. So this is a warband you sort of want to bring together here. You want everyone to be sort of gathering around this one enemy, and then you want the Wielder of the Blade to come in and sentence them to death with your quad. This can be pretty cool because this can take out some of the biggest fighters in the game if you can give him X extra attacks, which is really, really cool. Up to 3, taking him to 5 attacks at strength 5, 3/6 on the damage, though you will have X added to, so it would be 3/11. Pretty solid all rounds. I think it's a little bit hard to use. once again, this is just reminding me of the Underworld's Warband. Really hard to sort of make stick and work. But when it does work, it's going to be absolutely insane. Next, we have the Bearer of the Block. 16 wounds, defense 4, 3 attacks at strength 4, 2/4 on the damage. Nothing besides the generic rune mark for the Warband and Fly here. 135 renown, you know, it's another one of the models that is going to be fighting alongside. And so just comparing to other things of the 135 point, you are like getting up there, comparing him to like an Extoller of Shaiish, the leader of the Bladegeist, not the Bladegeist, the Grimghast Reapers. You are going to have an extra wound on that model. You got 2/4 in your damage. You are a higher point of strength. You know, you're the same point, so fair, I guess, on his points. You know, he is going to be that little bit better. You don't have the leader rune mark like that, but you do have, obviously, the rune mark for the Warband, so you're going to get some of the cool abilities. So I think he's fairly costed. Scriptor of the Sentence has a ranged attack, nothing too great to write home about. 2 attacks at strength 4, 1/3 on the damage with a 3 to 9 inch range. He's got 1 inch range with 3 attacks at strength 3, 1/3 on the damage. He's very similar to, say, something like a Dread Warden, I guess. 14 wounds is where you'd sort of put him at. He's a little bit cheaper than a Dread Warden. He doesn't put out as much damage, but he does have the ranged option with him as well. He's interesting. I think he is probably one of the worst members of the party. I don't know whether, you know, you would take him. Like, the block actually does some damage. This guy really was strength 3 at 1/3 on the damage. For 115, you're getting damage that most of, like, the 70 point, 65 point fighters will be doing as well. But 14 wounds at defense 4 is solid. With Fly, you know, he's useful. I think he's okay. The first two are definitely better fighters in my mind. And then lastly, we have the Sharpener of the Blade for 80 renown. Now, we do have a special double with this model, which is interesting. So he sort of does change because, like, other than that, he very much is a Chain Rasp. So defense 4, 8 wounds. He's got 1 attack, though, at strength 3, 1/6 on the damage. So interesting on his damage. You know, it is a big sort of swing and a hit, or swing and a miss most of the time, it'll probably be. Now, Sharpen is you pick a friendly fighter with a hero rune mark and the Headsman's Curse rune mark within 3 inch, and you add 2 to the damage points allocated to enemy fighters by each critical hit. So interesting on what he can bring to the table. Once again, this is like relying on you to get crits though, and a quad in there. Like, I'm really interested. Like, it's got a real big theme of what it's trying to do. It's trying to go and execute the big players, but to get, you know, the best out of the fighter, you're probably having to include all members of this, so you're paying like half your warband at 1,000 renown for most of it, and one of the fighters really isn't good. I mean, this guy's doing nothing but sharpening a blade, but at least he is giving something. It should be said as well that, like, the sharpen doesn't have to actually go along with the court sentence you, but that means you're rolling 2 attacks looking for 6s to actually get the benefit of the sharpen there as well. So interesting on what you do. Like, I would probably go sharpen and then try a rampage for the extra attacks on your wielder of the blade. They're an interesting warband. I do think out of the ones we've sort of reviewed, this is the last one that's gone up out of all the warband reviews for Underworld's Word Hollow coming over to Age of Sigmar. I think this is probably the worst, and it's interesting because I do think it's probably the worst warband in Underworlds too. It's so hard to get right and to use right in Underworlds. It's very tricky, very sort of reliant on good dice rolls. Like, I think if you were to play this in a game of Warcry and you didn't get a quad over the course of the game, you would really, really struggle to win that game because you're not actually doing anything with this warband other than that. They're paying a premium for some of their fighters. Yeah, interesting. What does everyone think? I think this is probably one of the least favourite ones I have here, but be interested to hear everyone else's thoughts down in the comments below. And that's the end of the video. We hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and also drop a comment down below letting us know what you thought about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our fine little community here at Sinful Gaming, we have a Discord server linked down in the video's description. Also linked down in the video's description are the best ways to help support the channel. You can use one of our affiliate links to Gap Games or Element Games if you're in Australia or the United Kingdom, or you can subscribe to our YouTube members or Patreon, or grab some merch from our merch stores on Teespring or Ko-fi. All the best ways to help support the channel. As a special thanks to all our Patreon and YouTube members, we'd like to give them all a shout out. So thank you to our Patrons: Broken Chef, Andy C, Grimskull, Colorblind Magic, Benjamin Swallows, James Cater, Mark Harvey, Domir, Average Wargamer, JJ Austrian, Cure Dynamic, Andrew Bowen, Outer and Shot First, Kenny Lowell, and Soren. And to our YouTube members: Green Roots Gaming, Ronya, Lock Lorick, the Johnny84, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Monty's Tabletop Terrain, James Tillman, Disco, John Castle, and Gargamel196. Thank you all once again for watching. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Stay safe everyone, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.